what also makes a coordinator a pretty good coordinator is having a pretty good quarterback. Robert Saleh, coach of the Jets, was asked yesterday whether he has laid out a plan at the quarterback position for a new offense under Nathaniel Hackett. Here's what Saleh had to say.
The quarterback position, obviously, with all the different interviews, was the number one concern, and rightfully so. And it was simple. We're committed to finding a veteran. We didn't get into names. I doubt that he's even studied. He hasn't studied those guys yet, which he's going to start next week. But we didn't get into specifics on names. But it was talked about that we do plan on bringing a veteran quarterback if we can. We do want to continue working with Zach and continue to develop him.
Well, there's one that Nathaniel Hackett doesn't need to study. Actually, two, Aaron Rodgers and Blake Bortles. We don't have to worry about Blake Bortles. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the center of the speculation and discussion. And, Peter, I firmly believe that last year Nathaniel Hackett became the coach of the Broncos with an expectation that they were getting Aaron Rodgers. It was the same day that Rodgers told the Packers he was coming back that the Broncos made it clear they were trading for Russell Wilson. Not before and not 2 weeks later, the same day. One led to the other. And I know the Broncos would say that it's coincidental. There are no coincidences. I think he thought he was getting Rodgers last year, and now we're going to spend the next several weeks wondering whether or not he's going to get Rodgers this year. That's a number one target and topic for the Jets, I believe, if they can get him, and if he even wants to play there. We don't know that he wants to play there. The first question he has to resolve is whether he wants to play at all.
Mike, being in New York, things tend to get exaggerated. So the back page of the New York Post on Thursday and this morning was both Aaron Rodgers. And it was, the first on Thursday, it was, hey, what are the chances we can get Aaron Rodgers? And today it was like, oh, we got Nathaniel Hackett. Let's go get Aaron Rodgers. And I think that is, from anybody who's a big Jets fan, Mike, that's what you want to hear right now. You want to hear that Woody Johnson is willing to bite the bullet. And look, you pointed it out at Pro Football Talk this week. I wrote about it in my column on Monday. It's a very, very interesting thing if you want to get Aaron Rodgers, because obviously the compensation to get him from the Packers is one thing. And that could be as much as, a first and something. Who knows? I doubt it's going to be 2 1s, but it could be a first and something. You just don't know. Or it could be, basically, a lower pick now and then based on what he does, depending on what he does as a Jet. But be all that as it may, the point is, in the next 2 years combined, his cap figure with the team that acquires him would be a combined $48.3 million. That's less than the current 2023 cap number of Dak Prescott for the Dallas Cowboys. So what I'm saying is, it is a manageable thing if you're willing to take on a bunch of money on the back end when he might be retired, okay? And if he can, if Aaron Rodgers will assure the New York Jets that I'm going to give you at least 2 years, if he assures you that right now, if he doesn't assure you, I'm not sure I would bite the bullet. But if he can assure you that, I would love that for 2 reasons, Mike. Number one, Zach Wilson semi-idolizes Aaron Rodgers. That's the guy, as a veteran quarterback, who he has looked up to during his career. So if you want to try to save Zach Wilson, bring in a guy who he really, really looks up to and let him work with him for a year or two. That's number one. And number two, look, Woody Johnson knows that this franchise, other than 11 games with Brett Favre in 2008, has not had a great quarterback in a half century. Has not had a great quarterback since Joe Namath played for him. So that's one of the big reasons why right now I think he's saying, hey, look, I've given 94 general managers the opportunity to draft 120 quarterbacks high in the draft. I'm sick of it. I want a just add water great quarterback. If this guy tells us he'll give us 2 years, we're going to get him. Now, Mike, I know I have zero inside knowledge. I don't know anything about this. I'm just telling you, if I were Woody Johnson, I'd say to Joe Douglas, this is what we're doing.
Couple of real quick points, and then we have to take a break. Number one, Rodgers had some interesting comments this week about Big Pharma being behind this media campaign to villainize him, and Woody Johnson is the heir to the Johnson & Johnson Big Pharma fortune. Number two, even with those cap numbers you cited, $58.3 million gets paid to Rodgers this year. Number three, the trade compensation could get a little dicey, but Rodgers has far more power than Brett Favre had back in 2008 because the Packers could just sit back and say, fine, you're on the books for $12 million. We have more than enough cap space to avoid it. We control this process. I think Rodgers has more control than Favre had. And finally, before we go to break, the beautiful tweet from our good friend and my internet son, PFT commenter, given that Rodgers to the Jets would track the Brett Favre career arc, what he said was, Rodgers to the Jets confirmed yesterday after Nathaniel Hackett news. Then Rodgers to the Vikings confirmed. Then Rodgers defrauding the state of Mississippi and doing Copperfit commercials confirmed. So it all continues. The parallels between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.